This is an interesting question that we're going to need to watch closely because they're kind of asking you to know a science formula here. We need to know the formula for density. I do remember on the old SAT they would kind of ask about speed sometimes, speed being distance over time, and they would do it in a way where like sometimes they would give you the formula, other times you'd kind of have to know it. Now, luckily, density and speed are both really easy to remember the formula because of the units. That's kind of telling us what it is. So in this case, they tell us the density is in kilograms per cubic meter. So we're talking about mass, right? Now we're talking about length. So we're talking about shape. So hopefully you should know that the density is mass, kilograms, per volume, cubic meters. So if you don't, there you go. Now you know the formula. They're not going to give it to us, I don't think. So we're going to need to memorize this one. Speed is distance over time, if we need that one, time. So let's just plug in what we have where it goes, right? So the density is 353. The mass is 345. And then we're finding the volume first. Even if you see that that's not what they're actually asking for, it's okay. We'll deal with it. We just know we have two pieces of a formula. Might as well find the final piece. So what I would do here, multiply both sides by v to get rid of this, then divide by 353 to get v by itself. And this is going to be tight. 345 divided by 353 is 0.97734. Let's cut it off there. And the reason I'm being precise as I can, is look at those answer choices, right? I mean, they're really close. Now, I think in this case, choice A is kind of looking like a trap because that's the volume, but we are not being asked for the volume. We are being asked for the length of the edge of a cube that has this volume. So we kind of need another formula here, that the volume of a cube is equal to the side length cubed, right? Because if it's a cube, all the sides are the same. So this is just length times width times height, except that length, width, and height are all the same because it's a cube. So really what we're going to have here now is 0.97734 is equal to s cubed, and in order to solve that, we're going to need to take the cubed root of both sides. So hopefully you know how to do that in your calculator because obviously it's going to matter. What I'm going to do is I still have the full decimal in my calculator, and this might be another habit to get into on your SAT, is your calculator is always going to be more accurate. Don't round things unless we have to, but I'm going to round just for the sake of kind of seeing what happens. So I'm going to take the cubed root, this is going to be in my math button, cubed root of 0.97734, and I get that 0.9924 is the length of a side, and that's choice B, and that was the answer. So I purposely, didn't round for a couple digits here because I can sense from the answer choices that they're really close. I gotta be as accurate as possible. So this is a great example of something we need for the math section is don't just go about answering every question as if it's like a free response question, right? There's 4 choices. Let the choices tell you when there might be a trap, what to care about. If the numbers are all over the place, if they're a big range, then yeah, you can probably round at like the 10th place or the 100th place. But if they're this close, you gotta keep that decimal as long as possible for as long as possible, so that way you're not losing anything in the rounding. This is a really sneaky thing. I'm of all the questions that they released, this is the one that feels most different from what's been on prior tests. Maybe not the topic, but just something about the way that they're presenting these answer choices and making us think about these numbers. It feels different from what's come before it. Can't quite put my finger on why. We're going to watch it, but just be careful. Be careful of rounding. I wonder if they're testing that on the new test.